Today we all that Rav Meir, even if you took out one kernel of wheat for planting purposes, that was his definition of what was called of what you'd be chai. So the Gemara says, "Pshita kol shu t'nan," like Peter said yesterday. What's a kol shu? I mean, and so if it says kol shu, even a grain of wheat, you're gonna be. What's the big chiddush of Rav Meir? So here's the chiddush. Ma'odisem kol shu means lafuke migroigris. The normal amount for carrying food was kegroigris, like the size of a fig. So, but you might say that even for zriya lo oilama de kazayis. Fine, a groigris is bigger than a kazayis. It's like 2 kazayis. But maybe kol shehu means it has to be a minimum kazayis. That might have been my havamina. Kamash Malon that no, even a chita achas is Rav Meir telling us that's considered a kol shehu. So they're trying to give us a little bit of a criteria for kol shehu. Anything that has chashivas, even one kernel, that somebody's going to plant, that would be enough. Maske Rav Yitzchak ben Rav Yehuda, based on that notion, so if you're telling me it goes based on the person's das, so if I have in mind, I want to empty my whole house to the Rishus HaRabbi. So what? You're going to move out a sofa and a chair and a table, and you're not going to be chai because your mind said, I want to move my whole house? That doesn't make any sense. Somebody says, no. Once he says, I'm moving out my whole house, so then it's not a matter of matzniyo. Right? Matzniyo was, I like a certain small item that I'm going to hide for my own personal usage. So we said, in that case, the shear would be even that small amount, even if it was less than whatever the normal shear is. So once you say I'm going to take out my whole house, then we go back to the average, what the public would we go back to the public shiurim, which is like kegroigros or revius by fluid, and we don't go by matzniya. And then the Mishnah said that once you set aside a certain shear and you'll hide that amount, then you're chayiv for that shear, even though it's smaller than a regular shear. The Gemara points out to us that masnisin is like Reb Shimon Elazar. It's not like Reb Shimon Elazar. Tanya klalom Reb Shimon Elazar. Reb Shimon Elazar said a general statement. Kol shein kosher latzni avein matzniin kamou. Normally, people will not hide something of this small. But this particular guy wants to keep this small item. So we already know that if that guy himself carried that thing out, of course he would be chayiv. But Reb Shimon Elazar's chiddush is that even a Chaim Yankel who comes by, a third party, who would normally not be matzniya something of that size, but since this guy gave it chashivas, if he carries it out, he, the one who carries it, will be chayiv for the machshava of the guy who was matzniya, even a small amount. Okay. Amrav Nachman. Hotzi kagrogres lachila, which is the standard amount that you're going to be chayiv for food. Now, on your way out, before you deposit it, before you make it a hanocha, nimlach alei zriya. You changed your mind and you wanted to plant it. Now, the shear for zriya is much less than the kagroigos. So either way, you have the right shear. However, let's say inami lezriya. You carried out kagroigos for zriya. And then you change your mind lachia. In either case, chai. So the Gemara says pshita zil hacha ikashir zil hacha ikashir. No matter what, you had the right shear, so of course you're going to be chayiv. The Gemara says no. We know the concept by Hotzah on Shabbos. I have to lift something up in the Rosh Hashanah. That's the Akira. And then I have to walk into the Rosh Hashanah, and then I have to put it down. That's the Hanacha. You need an Akira in one place and a Hanacha in the other place. So over here, when you lifted it up, you had in mind to eat it. When you put it down, you had in mind to plant it. So I might have thought that the Akira and the Hanacha has to have the same machshava. V'haleka. Kamash Malon, that even though the machshava was different, because you had the right shear to cover both bases, that's why you're chayav. Okay, so the Gemara is going to try to devise some interesting cases to see if it follows that as well. Boy Rav. You had some seeds. The normal shear is for Zriya is very small. It's like 2 seeds. The amount for Achila is Kegroigos. So you had a half a Kegroigos worth for Zriya. Now that would not be enough if you took it out for food, but that was not your Machshava. Your Machshava is for Zriya. So you have enough for the shear to make you Chai for Zriya. But the Topcha, the seeds swelled up. And now they're the size of a Gegroigos. And the Nimach Alel Achila. And now you changed your mind before you did the Hanacha, and you want to eat it. So what's the side? Mao. Im Tim Saloimar. Maybe you'll tell me in the case where you had the Akira and the Hanacha with different machshavos. We said Hasamuda Machayev, the Zilhacha Ikashir, the Zilhacha Ikashir. Listen, in both cases, you have the right shear. A grois is more than what you need for Achila and for Zriya. So you ended up with the same shear, fine. You had 2 different machshavos, we said it didn't make a difference. But Hacha, in this case, we had you started off with a half a grois for Achila. But your mind was for Zriya. Then it grew, it swelled up, and now you have the right shear. Kivan to be in the afke. At the time that you actually took it out, law of shear achila, you didn't have the right shear for achila. Maybe I would say you're not going to be chayiv. Oh, Dilma, or perhaps kivan de ilu ishke. If you would have been silent, v'lo choshev alei, and he wouldn't have said anything, mechayev machshava dezriya, right? A chatzi groigos is more than what you need to carry out for seeds. So you've been mechayev for zriya. So maybe Ashtonami mechayev. So maybe we would be chayiv in this case. And the imtim saloim arkivan de ilu ishtik. If he, let's say he would have been silent, and he wouldn't have changed his mind, he would have still thought of it as Zriya. And he had enough for Zriya. So maybe here, Ashtanami Machayev, fine. So you're going to tell me that's going to be, maybe in that Zustel, in that analysis, we would say that since if you would be quiet and you wouldn't have changed your mind, and you started off with a half a grois, but your mind was for Zriya, so maybe you'll say, even though you changed later on, because you had if you were shoisek, you would have been chayiv and hot. So what about the following case? Hoitzi could grois lachila v'tzamka. You carried out the amount of a fig for food, which is the proper shear, but it shrunk on the way out. And now, and now before you did the hanacha, you changed your mind. You wanted to use it for seeds. If he would have stayed with his original machshava, you would not be machayev because in the end it was not the right shear. O Dilma, we go basar hashtaz lina. We go with what was his machshav at the end, and since the machshav at the end was for Azriya, and it was the right amount for Azriya, maybe machayev. And v'imtim saloimar, if you're going to tell me that we do go basar hashtaz lina, we follow what the final machshava is. Machayev. So I'll give you the final case. Hoitzi kegrogos lachila. When you did the akira inside the house, it was the size of a fig, which was the right shear for achila. Vitzomka, and it shrunk. And you did not change your mind, but it just got pushed aside. It was nidche. It was no longer the right shear. And then, before you put the hanocha down, chazer v'tapcha. Then it swelled up and it went back to the right shear. So those of you, if you remember in Kodshim, we have a concept, hoil v'nidche nidche. Yesh dichui by korbanos. That means, let's say you did a shchita, and you collected the blood in a kos, and you took the kos outside of the azara. Now that you bring the kos back in, doesn't make a difference. Hoil v'nidche nidche. Because we say yesh dichui b'kodshim. What about here? Mao. Do we say yesh dichui in Shabbos? Since for a temporary period of time, this object had shrunk below the minimum shear that you needed to make you chayiv. So we say it was nidche, and you can't resurrect it. Oh, ain't dichui in Shabbos. Maybe there is dichu by kodshim, but not by Shabbos. We don't care that in the interim it shrunk. What is it at the end? The right size? Then you're going to be chayiv. You did an akira with the right size, and you did an anocha with the right size, so you're going to be chayiv. So what is it? Teiku. All of these sheilas. It's not just on this last one. All of this boy rov, all of these zushtels that we try to create, it's all a suffix, it's all teiku. Of course, Linyan Shabbos, by teiku, we always go l'chumra. Suffix d'oraisa l'chumra. Right? Because the teiku, we don't know what the answer is, so it's a suffix, so it's usually l'chumra. Okay, boy minei Rav and Rav Nachman. Zora kazayis truma labayis tamei mahu. You threw kazayis of truma into a house where there was a corpse, so that the house is filled with tumah. Now, by oichel, like by truma, it does not become tameh unless it's the size of a kibetza. It's not din kazayis or kegroigos. But we'll see what the shear is. For tuma, it's kibetza. Now the Gemara wants to know this question. You threw a kazayis of truma into a house. Well, lamai, what question are you asking? Ila inyan Shabbos. So you want to say that the guy's going to be chayiv for throwing from Rishus HaRabim into the house if he threw a kazayis truma? Groigros be'inan. A groigros is double the size of a kazayis. So you didn't have the right shear. So if your question about Shabbos, it's certainly going to be potter. Ila inyan tuma, or are you asking me, is this oichel going to become tamei? Does it have the right shear? We say no, because kabetza oichlin be'inan, and you only have kazayis. Only a kabetza oichel will acquire tuma, not less than that. So to what halacha did you ask me? So lo'ilam le'inyan Shabbos, we're asking about hotzah v'achnasa by Shabbos. The case is kagon de'ikapachas mikabetza oichlin. In the house already was less than a kabetza of food, which was not mitame, because we say you need at least kabetza. And now you're going to throw this food in to the house, and there's going to be hitstarfus lekabetza. V'hai mashlimu lebetza. My. Do we say midim mitztarif linyan tuma? Because halachically, you now created something that was choshev, because it was not tamei before, now it's tamei. So, and even though you only threw a kazayis, and normally when you transfer from a Rishus HaRabim, Rishus HaYachid, you've got to transfer at least a groigris. And here you only transferred a kazayis. I would say still maybe Machayev Nami Le'inyan Shabbos, because of the Hitztarfus, sort of halachically, it was Choshuv, and we go by that. Oy Dilma Koli in Shabbos Gegroigros Beina. I don't care that it was mitzarif l'tumas oichlin to make it a kibetza. You're going to be chayiv for caring if it's kegroigris, and you don't have kegroigris here. You only threw a kazayis. So that was the Gemara's question. That was what Rava asked Rav Nachman. On relate to Nisua. Rav Nachman said it's a Mishnah. Abisholoy mer shtei alechem, the two loaves that were offered on Shavuos with the Shnei Chvasim. The lechem aponim, the showbread. There were 12 loaves baked, placed on the shulchan every week from Shabbos to Shabbos. They were eaten by the Kohanim. It was like a mincha. So shiurin kagroigos. To carry them on Shabbos, if you're going to be motzi shtei alechem or lechem aponim from Rishus HaYachid, Rishus HaRabbi, and the shear is kagroigos. L'chora, like all oichel. Frankly, more of a mai. Why should that be? Lema, based on your question to me, madoch midle inyan yoitze bekazayis. So, if you carry out a kazayis of lechem aponim from the azora to the outside the azora, you're going to be chayiv for yotze, and that's only a kazayis. So, this if you're going to tell me that you follow a halachic principle, so just like over there was itztarfus l'tumah, here the shear for iser of being motzi out of the azor is kazayis, so le'in Shabbos not even kazayis. Based on what you were trying to say by truma, the shear of making you chayiv for hotzah on Shabbos for lechem aponim should also be kazayis. More says nothing doing. Hachi hashta. There's no comparison. Hachi hashta. There's no comparison. Hasam. Listen carefully. By the taking out the lechem aponim, midi avke chutz lechoy mesazor if selei biyotze. You don't need to go. See, once you leave the azara till the outside of the azara, it's still Rishus HaYachid. But you're still going to be chayiv. You haven't done anything. But to carry the lechem aponim to be chayiv for that, you'd have to go not just from the. It's not. You don't. The isra is not triggered at the same time. I walked outside from the azara till 2 steps outside the azara. I'm already chayiv for yotze. That all I need is for kazayas. But I haven't gone to the Rishus HaRabbi yet. So the chiyuvim don't occur at the same time. Hacha Shabbos v'tuma b'hadei adori ka'asim. But here, the moment I throw the tuma into this, the moment I throw the truma into the house that's tameh, and the moment it lands to the food that was less than the kibetza, and now at the same moment, that food has been expanded to a kibetza, and it landed, so at the same moment you triggered the chiyuv from Rishus HaYachid, Rishus HaRabbi. So it occurred b'hadadi. So that's why over there it might be different. Since all you needed there is kazayis to be mitzvah to kashir kibetza, that alone might give you the chiyuv for hotzah or chnasa on Shabbos, and it doesn't work by lechem aponim. Okay, I think the Gemara has a good approach there. Then the Gemara says chazer v'chniso ein chayv l'kashir. He said that if a person put away a small amount of something that would not necessarily trigger chiyuv hotzah, but for him it does, and then he carried it outside, we said he's chayv. But let's say he wants to bring it back in. So his whole function was to take it outside. So now when he brings it outside, you see he didn't really need it for this small purpose he wanted. So we go back to the standard shear of kegroigros. We don't follow his little shear on his way back in. Versus pshita, why would I think any different? He threw this item that he had sequestered for himself into a machsan, into a warehouse, and he knew exactly where it was. It's not like it just Stamazo, he threw it there. No, he knew exactly where he was throwing it. Because I might have thought he's still in the same mindset. Oh, I like this thing, even the small amount of thing I wanted. And when he threw it there, he has the same machshava on it. No. Once you throw it to the warehouse, it's betule batle. This concept that he had when he was in his house, he was matzniat for himself, that's in his house. Now that I throw it to the warehouse, all bets are off. We start again with the basic shiurim until we see that it's matzniya, a smaller amount over there in the warehouse as well. Okay. Mishnah. Hamotzi ochlin. When a person is carrying out food from the inside to the outside. So he does the akira in Rishus HaYachid, and he's on his way to Rishus HaRabim. But while he's walking, unason ala skupa. The skupa is like a threshold. Now we're going to see. The threshold is going to be either a Rishus HaRabim or still a Rishus HaYachid, but sort of a different Rishus. Now, Bein Shechazer Votzion. And he had put it down on the eskufa. Now, if he went up and picked it up and took it out, or if another person in Bein Shotzion Acher, it's patur. There's no chiyuv. Mipnei shelo asum lachto b'vasachas. He didn't do the malach of akir v'anocha, which is Rabbi. In one step, he placed it down on the threshold first. That's halacha number 1 in the Mishnah. Halacha number 2, kupa. You have a box. Shehi malaya peiros. And the box is full of fruit. Let's say there's 20 fruit in there. Unason ali skupa chitzona. And he moved it from Rishus HaYachid to this outside threshold. Some of the box is still on the eskufa, but some of the fruit in the box is already sitting in the Rishus HaRabim. But the whole box is not in Rishus HaRabim, but some of the individual fruit is in the Rishus HaRabim. So by moving the box was fully inside. And some of these fruit have now been moved from Rishus HaYachid into Rishus HaRabim. But they're enclosed by this box. So the box sort of unifies them. So the din is, even though the majority of the payros that are in the box are outside potter, ad sheyotzis kol hakupa, until you take out the whole box in one shot. So let's define our terms a little bit better. Hai iskufa mai. You say you're moving from Rishus HaYachid to Rishus HaRabim derech in iskufa. What's the iskufa? Ilay iskufa Rishus HaRabim. I mean, the threshold could be outside your door, right? So, and maybe the Rishus HaRabim abuts your Rishus HaYachid. So the iskufa could be part of Rishus HaRabim. So if you're telling me the eskufa is Rishus HaRabim, and you told me that if you moved the box from inside to the eskufa, you're potter, why would you be potter? If the eskufa has the status of Rishus HaRabim, then you've transferred from the Rishus HaYachid to Rishus HaRabim. Why should you be potter? Ela eskufa Rishus HaYachid. Rather, that means that the eskufa must have a status of Rishus HaYachid, like the threshold is within the door frame. And perhaps the door is on the outside of the threshold. So you open up the door, or let's say even it's on the inside of the threshold, but in some ways it's under your door frame. So that's why perhaps we're talking about an eskufa that's Rishus HaYachid. So what did the Mishnah say? So the person had moved it from Rishus HaYachid to the threshold. And then in a second maneuver, he moved it to the Rishus HaRabim. Or a third party came, right, Bein Shotzion Acher, and removed it from the eskufa to the Rishus HaRabim. Now, if you've just told me the eskufa is a Rishus HaYachid, why would it be potter? Hakamafik Rishus HaYachid, Rishus HaRabim, be chayiv. So, so either way I learn Iskufa, it doesn't fit our Mishnah. Ella Iskufa Karmel. So what we're talking about is a threshold that's now remember, a Carmelis is a reshus created by the Rabbanan. Minat Torah, you can carry it. Like, for example, we know what a reshus hayachid is. It's got to be daled al daled tfachim. It's got to be 10 tfachim high, and with walls. That's reshus hayachid. We know what a reshus harabim is. 600,000 people, a main thoroughfare. What about a campsite? A campsite probably has a din of a carmelis. A little village has a din of a carmelis. It's not reshus harabim. It's not reshus hayachid. Minat Torah, you can carry there. The Chachamim made a gzeira that you can't carry in a carmelis daled amas. Why not? Because you might come to carry in the reshus harabim. So we're talking about an iskufa that is the status of a carmelis. Ma'akamash malon, and to teach me the following: Taima, the reason in these cases why it's potter, because it came to nachba carmelis. You carried something from reshus hayachid to a carmelis, and then from a carmelis to the reshus harabim. That's why you're potter. Haloi nachbe carmelis mechayiv. But if you went straight through carrying the box or whatever you were carrying from reshus hayachid, reshus harabim, you're going to be chayiv. Therefore, masnisu deloika ben azai. Ditanya hamotzi mechanut leplatya derech stav chayiv. Ubenazai point that we just were medayek that if there was an iskufa there, a carmelis iskufa, and you carried the item over the iskufa, you didn't stop there, you didn't put it down. We were medayek. If you put it down, it's potter. But if you didn't put it down, you're chayiv. But you see, Ben Azai holds that a chanut is a store. A platya is like Tiananmen Square. It's like a big plaza. Stav is like a bunch of pillars that people would engage in some commerce in between the store and the main plaza. So that has the status of a carmelis. So the Chachamim hold, if I don't care that you walked through a carmelis. If I did the akira in the reshus hayachid and I picked it up and then I started walking and I walked through the carmelis, I didn't stop there, and I ended up putting the thing that I carried down in the reshus harabim, I'm chayiv. I don't care that I transited the carmelis. According to Ben Azai, transiting the carmelis is enough to make you potter. Okay. But these are important dinim. He brings the Rambam that says that if you carry from the reshus hayachid, reshus harabim, or vice versa, and I placed it in the carmelis, and went further, then I'm clearly potter. The Rambam l'chura that if I went directly, I think we paskin like the Tanakam of Ben Azai and say you're chayiv if I all I did is transited the carmelis. Okay. Then we dealt with this question of a box full of fruit, kupa shehim leya, and we said if you carried it, but you did not remove the whole box, even though some of the whole fruit is sitting in the reshus harabim, I'm not chayiv since the whole box has not been moved. Amar Chizkiah, you know what? Says Chizkiah, that tour is very specific. Lo yishanu ela b'kupa mleya kishuna diluin. He's talking about if you have long cucumbers or long gourds in a box, and you drag and you're moving the box, which is reshus harabim, and some of the box is still inside and some of the box is outside. That's because it's a long zucchini, and some of the zucchini is still in reshus hayachid. That's why it's potter, because you haven't removed the whole fruit. But if the box was full of apples, and I moved some of the boxes, and some of the boxes already saying Rishus Harabim. There's 10 apples Rishus Harabim. Chardal is mustard seeds, but it's a smaller item. I certainly moved some of the mustard seeds from Rishus Hayachid to Rishus Harabim, even if the whole box hasn't been moved there. That's what Chizkiah says. Al Maksavar, Eged Kli, Lo Shmei Eged. The Kli doesn't sort of put all the fruit together, and all is one, and all is one, and one for all. And we don't care that some of the fruit is outside. If all of the fruit hasn't been, we don't say that. We don't say that the Kli unifies it, because according to Chizkiah, if some of the whole apples are already sitting in Rishus Harabim, you're already chayav. We don't care that some of the fruit in the Kli. That means the Kli doesn't necessarily make you treat all the fruit as one. We treat each fruit individually. The concept of Eged Kli, like when you put together a lulav with the meaning, the same thing. Is it considered Eged or not? So here we have the same analysis. However, he says that even if it's full of apples or mustard seed, you're not chayiv until you remove the whole box, even though some of the apples are sitting in Rishus Harabim. Why? Ksavar eged kli shmei eged. Because once you're in a kli, the kli makes it all uniform, and it's all for one and one for all. If all are out, then you're chayiv. If they're not all out, you're not chayiv. By the way, the Rambam paskins hamotzi kupam leach hafetzim afilu hayu ktanim kigargi chardal eino chayiv at sheyotzis kol hakupa sheeged kli shmei eged v'nifsaka halacha b'kav Rav Yochanan. And we're going to see Rava is going to paskin like Rav Yochanan. We always paskin like Rava against the Baya, except in 6 cases of Ya'al Kagam. But anyways, that's how the Rambam paskins regarding this issue. That Eged Kli Shmei Eged, you would not be chayiv until the whole box is moved. Rav Zeira, Masnisim Deloy Chizkiah Daika. Our Mishnah seems not like Chizkiah. Dikitani, what did our Mishnah say? Ad sheyotzi is kol hakupa. The Mishnah clearly said you have chayiv, so you move the whole kupa. Time of the kol hakupa. Hakol hapeirus potter. But if you haven't removed all the peirus potter, al muksaver eged kli shmei eged. So you see the kli puts them all together. But you want to know something? It's not medak like Rav Yochanan either, says the Gemara. Rav Yochanan also like daika. Diktani avol b'shirov peirus b'chutz. Because our Mishnah says even though the majority of the peirus are b'chutz, time of peirus, you would be potter. High kol peirus avol gav dagid nekupa v'gavoy. Even there's some of the boxes on the inside chayiv. Comes out from that amuk sav eged kli lo shmei eged. So our Mishnah seems to be internally contradictory. How can it be medak like neither of them? Elakasha. So Chizkiah metartz l'tamei, Rav Yochanan metartz l'tamei. Each one can resolve the contradiction according to his own swan. Like we learned, Chizkiah metartz l'tamei ad sheyotzis kol hakupa. So when do we say you're chayiv? Only when the whole box is removed, as Bamed Rambam Kupal and Kishun Diluyim, like we said, the long gourds. Because until you remove everything, you haven't even removed one whole fruit. Each fruit's only been removed 3/4 of it. So that you never took out a whole fruit. So since if the box was full of apples, and I've got 10 apples on the outside, 10 on the inside, I don't care what's on the inside. We view it as if the whole kupa was removed, and you're chayiv. But Rav Yochanan metartz l'tamei, avol pishrov peres b'chutz, v'lo rov peres b'lvad elo afilu kol peres potter. Ad sheyotzi es kol hakupa. Rav Yochanan says eged kli shmei eged. You got to remove the whole box. Okay, very interesting sugya there. Meisvei motzi kupas harochlin. We have a peddler box. We said the peddlers had boxes with spices in it. And the peddler removed it from the Rishus HaYachid to the threshold. And even though multiple boxes are still all outside already, potter. Ad sheyotzis kol hakupa. The whole box is removed from Rosh Hashanah, Rosh Hashanah. Kosal kedaitich b'tzrori. Our havamin is that there are little individual boxes here, which would make it not like a long gourd. Kasha lechiskis, so it would be a very strong kasha on chiskis. Amcha chiskis maskinon be'urnasi. He's got special long boxes in there, like reeds, and certain besamim that were made like long reeds. And as long as you didn't remove the whole box out, you didn't remove the whole reed. Some of the reed is still inside, which is hayachid. Most Rabbi Rabaya is a famous sugi. Hagoynev kis b'Shabbos. Person stole a wallet on Shabbos. He's chayiv b'tashlumim, right? A ganev pays kefil, whatever his, depending on what his status is. Now, when he stole, he went into inside's house, picked it up, and came outside Rosh Hashanah. So he's also chayiv for Shabbos, and you're killed. You're given the death penalty, skila. So we have a concept called lemid rabimine. If you've done two averas, you're punished with the more stringent one, and a very special halacha is you don't have to pay, because once you're nidden b'nafsho, you're potter from tashlum. We're going to learn that mirtz Hashem bava kama bava mitzvah. I'm going to keep Shabbos. Now, if this happened all simultaneously, you would be potter because of this principle. But here you're chayiv. Why? Shekvar is chayiv b'gneva kodem sheyavel the day Yisro Shabbos. The moment he's in the person's house and picks it up, he's koine it. It's only, and then he walks outside. So these averas did not happen simultaneously. He became a ganef when he picked it up, and the Shabbos is not until he went to the Rishus HaRabim. That's why you're chayiv, because it didn't happen simultaneously. Says the Baraisa, Hamegara v'yotze. But let's say he's dragging something. He never picked it up b'hagbah, so he's not koine b'hagbah. And he's dragging, and the moment he leaves the Rishus HaYachid and enters the Rishus HaRabim with the item, pinked, he's chayiv for Shabbos, and he's chayiv for Gneva. Then in a Chanami, potter. Shari Isra Gneva, the Isra Shabbos boin ke'echad. That would give you the Kom Lemid Rabbi Minei. You would be potter mitashlumin because there was a chiyuv kores or chiyuv skila attached at the same time. Now comes the kasha from the Brisa. But if you're going to tell me it's all for one, that the box unifies everything, and you're not going to be chayv until you move everything out. The Isra Geneva is going to occur because if you, for example, have a box, and the opening of the box is sort of say faced one way. So the moment the opening of the box has hit the Rishus HaRabim, you are already chayiv for the Geneva. But remember, some of the silver, let's say, that was in the box that you have access to because the mouth of it is towards you, you can get it, so you're already a ganef, but you haven't removed the whole box. So we said, according to this principle, you're not chayiv for Shabbos until the whole box is removed. So here again, even by dragging, you can't come to a patur in Tashlumin because you're going to be chayiv as the ganef before you're chayiv for the violator of Shabbos. So it happens at two distinct times, and you'd be chayiv Tashlumin. Must be that this principle of eged is lav shmei eged kli. That eged kli is lav shmei eged. So the Gemara says, fine, I agree with you. If you took it out with the mouth heading outside, But we're talking about shula. You backed it up. The mouth, where you didn't have any access to the inside of the box, was still towards the inside. And until you actually physically removed it from the whole inside, and you could stick your hand in it, you would not be chayiv. Makam chalama is like a seam at the bottom of the sack that you could still get access. The boy mafkile v'shakil. Versus benaska, we're talking about long metal bars of gold, like at Fort Knox. So if it was in a box, it's like gourds, it's like long zucchinis and gourds. Until you physically remove the box, you're not going to be chayiv. So the Gemara resorts to that, because since you can get access to a sack or a box through a crack in the bottom, the Gemara rather uses this teretz that you're not, you have to, we're talking about long items that you're not going to be chayiv for until the whole box is outside, and therefore you'll be chayiv at the same time, and that's why there's a. So that's a famous, and the sugi does not end. Okay, so tomorrow we will